with Dave Wolo. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here is your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Wolo.
Welcome in. It is All-Star Tuesday. Looking forward to the All-Star game tonight. I always do. It's always, it's just a tradition. It's a classic. It used to be two of them I would look forward to. The National League is a slight favorite in the game, and we will go to Chicago, our final segment today, to talk with George Offman, sportscaster from Chicago, a little bit about that, the National League Central, whole bunch of other stuff. Man, my heart went out last night to Brent Rooker, the kid from ECS. If you haven't heard the story, they take the top four. It's really scores. It used to be home runs, but if there's ties, there's a tiebreak. It's distance. So the average home run hit in the 17, I believe, that Brent Rooker hit was a distance of 470 feet, .53. Cal Raleigh, who's the Seattle catcher that has really kind of taken America by storm. He's the first catcher, by the way, ever to get this far in a home run derby and then wins. Okay. He's also leading the major leagues in home runs. I don't think he said this. I haven't really looked it up. But there's never been the home run leader going into the All-Star break that won the home run derby, according to Cal Raleigh. So that's an interesting story. And he's a big name, right? He's an up-and-coming superstar. He's the best catcher in the game by far right now, at least offensively. His average was 470.61. They both were tied with 17 home runs. That is less than, it's an inch. It's an inch. That's what he lost by. Now, I kind of wonder, why didn't they just make it 5 in the final if you're that close? Or let them have a little separate shootout. You know, I don't understand how he got bumped, except that I guess Cal Raleigh did have the better distance, slightly by an inch, and they wanted that name in there. And so Cal Raleigh wins it. He wins it because Rooker never makes the next round, which is just too sad. So Junior Camino, who's a Tampa Bay infielder, he was second. They vied against one another in the finals. I really felt bad for Rooker, who took the high road, and I'm happy that he did that. But I think he got kind of gypped, to be totally honest with you. But that's the way. Life is not always fair. That is for sure. SEC Media Days. You know, this is interesting. Here's a little change in the way, at least in Memphis, things are getting covered. Have you noticed Elijah Seegers? And this stuff happens. Look how big and popular at one time NASCAR was. They were getting NFL-like ratings, and now they're way, way down. Things change. Life changes. Have you noticed, if you read the commercial appeal in the Daily Memphian like I do daily, there's not been one story, not one single story on the SEC Media Days. If you've noticed, there's not been that I've looked at, and I confess, I watch both Channel 3 and Channel 5 sports. They're staggered a little bit, so you can watch most of them. At 5 o'clock, 5 has sports then, 6 o'clock, 3 has sports then. I haven't seen a story on the SEC. Now, we know the SEC network is broadcasting, so there's available highlights that could be used. Not one single affiliate has sent a team to Atlanta for coverage of this. Used to be all the affiliates would be there. Our radio station would be there. There would be the other sports station that would be there. They're not there. We're the only local people that are covering this. It's a switch. And if you've noticed, both of the newspapers, Memphian and Commercial Appeal, both have writers in Vegas for the Summer League, where they're load managing guys as second-round draft choices. Wow. We have really seen a change in all of this. One sort of breaking story maybe that I don't quite get, but if you noticed, I guess it was yesterday, it was announced that the Grizzlies, first they hired a new lead assistant in Ryan Saunders, Flip Saunders' son, who was the head coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves for 3 years, 18 to 21. So he's now the new lead assistant. The other guy they added was Brian Collins. Most people know him as Penny Collins. He was the head coach at Tennessee State. So he becomes an assistant. Congrats to him. He moves up. According to John Rothstein today, there's a ramification for the Memphis Tigers. The Grizzlies, inadvertently, have taken an assistant and have maybe cost the Tigers an assistant that I think is going to end up being a great head coach. To be honest, I'm surprised, if this is true, that Nolan Smith is taking this route. Because Nolan Smith, who grew up a disciple of Mike Krzyzewski at Duke, was a great player, is a terrific coach. There is no doubt in my mind, and I think in many's, that he will be a terrific assistant coach. I'm a little surprised he's going to take Tennessee State as his first job. And it won't be his last. But I'm a little surprised he's taking that route if John Rothstein from CBS Sports is right on this. Now, most of the time, I got to be honest with you, John Rothstein hits the nail on the head. So it just looked like Memphis was finally, and Penny was going to finally have two assistant coaches back-to-back years in Mike Davis and Nolan Smith. Davis, the veteran, Nolan Smith, the up-and-comer. And now it could be that in an inadvertent kind of a way, the Grizzlies have cost the Tigers, because Nolan Smith may be headed out the door to Nashville to take the job at Tennessee State. I honestly thought he would get a job in a power conference as his first job. So I'm a little surprised at this move by Nolan Smith, but Nolan Smith's a smart guy. He's a Dookie. He's a smart guy. He knows what he's doing. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studios, and I've told you this was going to happen. It's happened. The sale has changed. We've now gone to help us clear out the warehouse sale. This is simple. They got fall stuff coming in. They got to move out the summer stuff. And I'm talking state-of-the-art, newest fabrics, newest designs, all in-stock patio furniture, 60% off as they bring in the fall stuff. 4-piece deep seating set. That's only $9.99, under $1,000. Chaise lounges, you know you're going to buy 2 or 3, right, when you buy them. You buy one, you get the second half off. All the Pollywood furniture, 20 to 30% off. Special financing available. All you've got to do is get to I-40 and Wooden Road. Tell them we sent you, and you know you're going to get free installation on an above-ground pool. All you got to do is say Sports56 when you get to Family Leisure. Let's head to Atlanta. We're covering SEC Media Days. Brett Norsworthy, I think, is there 24 hours a day, live from the College Football Hall of Fame. And so is the voice of the University of Texas, the one and only Craig Way. Good morning, Craig. I missed you. You usually come through Memphis every summer. You and your wife listening to Rock Yacht on Sirius XM. And no show this year. What happened?
We blew right through town because we were.
Oh, you did come and you didn't say hello. Now I'm.
But you know when,
now
you know
I'm
when
upset.
we went through. You know when we went through town, right during this time when you were on the air. And it was,
Were
and
you
we were
listening?
on a time schedule.
Were you listening, or were you listening to
I
Yacht
was.
Rock? Oh,
I did.
all right.
I listened to some yacht rock, but I listened to some other things as well. And by the way, you're right about Brett being a 24/7 guy. You know that Capital One commercial where the guy's in the pajamas and he spends the night there on the couch there?
Right.
That's Brett Norsworthy here at the College Football Hall of Fame site of SEC Media Day.
Well, he told me his day started like 4 o'clock in the morning yesterday. But, you know, he's a farmer by nature, so that's in his blood anyway. It's his DNA.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
That works out well.
He's doing a terrific job. All right. So you've seen a lot of these over the years, Big 12, SEC. You know, they say it just means more where you are right now. You buying that?
Yeah. You know, I will tell you this. When I was in Dallas last year for it, they had the gigantic banners up and said it just means more. And I'll be honest with you, this is not going to come as a surprise to you, Wolo. But folks in other conferences, including the Big 12 where I was before, there was always this collective eye roll about that whenever those words came down. What I began to understand last year and the first year for Texas in the league was not just because the peripheral view of that phrase, it just means more, it kind of stings fans more than they're like, well, it just means, it means more to their fans than it does ours. It does not, yada, yada. No, I learned that it means more in terms of the totality of the event. The coverage of an event like this just eclipses the other leagues. And I've been to more than just one or two other media days. You know, in terms of the national coverage, the national scope, obviously it's a bigger thing. So that part of it, about it just means more. I mean, even down to stuff, you know how media people are, Wolo. I mean, the media buffets and stuff like that. It just means more in a variety of areas, not just what it means to the fans.
I get it. First off, I was at the original SEC Media Days. Since I started doing the games on radio for the Tigers, I don't go. But I can't believe how much it has grown. I think it's actually down a little bit this year. I don't know, sort of in this market, we've got this infatuation with the Summer League where the newspapers are.
Yeah.
Which is a little odd to me. But I do think it's impressive how it has taken over cities. So, you know, it took over Birmingham for all those years. Now Atlanta, was in Dallas last year. Wherever it goes, it draws a big crowd. And usually that first day the commissioner speaks, and there are messages that he usually puts out. Some of it is a little bit of propaganda, but he's there to serve his league. What was your takeaway from Greg Sankey's message yesterday?
That's a great question, Willow, because I put it to people as well on my show from here as well. I don't know if this is the right way to put it, I saw a feistier Greg Sankey. And he's always pretty measured and deliberate in a lot of the things he says. He's a great commissioner in that respect. By the way, that's another it just means more thing. Just seeing how the commissioner operates and how the league operates. That's another big part of it.
Well, he learned from Mike Slive. Let's not forget that, who's, to me, the greatest of all time.
Yeah. So he has a great way of the iron fist velvet glove thing of letting you know where they are, but doing it in enough of not only a gentlemanly fashion, but a business-like fashion to let you know that they're not going off half-cocked on a lot of stuff. And he even kind of made reference to that. I hope that he said the narrative doesn't always be that there's, everybody just rah all the time. I have a favorite phrase, and it's there are ways to say things. And he has taken that to an art form. But there's no mistaking the message that he was putting out there yesterday, that the SEC has positioned itself over years with its track record of success and everything else and coverage and everything that goes with it to the point of not having, A, to apologize for its successes and what it does, and B, to not being prepared or willing to take a back seat to any other league, Big Ten included, because I had Laura Rutledge on my show, and I asked her I said, do you get a sense and a vibe of tension there with the SEC and the Big Ten? And she said, absolutely, and it's been going on for a while. So, yeah, I think that's all a part of it for sure.
Well, the Big Ten really wants the SEC to go to 9 conference games, and the SEC really wants a 5-11 setup for the playoffs, where the Big Ten wants the assigned 4-4-2-2-1. And I think there's going to be a compromise. I wonder, and want to pick your brains, is that going to end up being the compromise? They'll go to 5-11 if the SEC goes to 9 conference games? Do you think that happens?
It's a great question, because the resistance that is coming from the coaches is they don't want to go to that 9th conference game. And Sankey, and this goes back to the commissioner having the back of his constituency and his coaches, turns that yesterday into the comment of pointing out how 10 of the conference schools, or all of the conference schools, played 10 games against what he said, what you guys like to refer to as power leagues, power conferences. So I did a comparison contrast yesterday. I looked at the non-conference schedules of all of the Big Ten schools and compared it to the SEC schools. Yes, absolutely. In the case of a handful of SEC schools, Cupcake Week still does exist. You do have the FCS opponents. Texas hasn't played an FCS opponent since 2006, and that was only because the 12th game was added that year, and Minnesota had backed out, so they had to scramble and got Sam Houston at the time. But there's a handful of that. But if you look at the Big Ten schedules, they've got them too, and they're playing 3 non-conference games.
Yeah.
And they're playing either G5s and low G5s. I'm not talking about the America. I'm talking about, the MAC or Sun Belt or whatever. I'm talking about lower level.
They play a lot of MAC
G5
schools. The Big Ten plays a lot of MAC, which helps the MAC out a lot. Yeah. Well, how about this compromise? And I heard Blake Topmeyer talking about it with the guys earlier on this station, where the Big Ten has to acquiesce and go along with the philosophy that the SEC has, that you got to play 1 non-conference Power 4. That means each school would be playing 10 Power 4 teams, the 9 they would play amongst each other, and the 1 extra that the SEC requires, the Big Ten has to require, and then they could go to 9. It would all be fair,
I like it. And
a strength of schedule would be even.
Yeah. I like it. I think it would work. So yeah, I think that would be a good compromise measure. Good compromise measure. When did you become Henry Kissinger, by the way?
It's in my blood, baby.
It must be.
Yeah.
It must be. I like it. I like it, though.
They need to send me to Gaza. It would all get. You
Yeah.
sound like Trump now. It all gets done. Texas, to my mind, in reading all the preseason publications, they are the consensus number 1. Arch Manning, the best quarterback. I don't know if LSU fans would agree with that with Nussmeier, but it seems to be a lot of people think that he's going to be the real deal, that he's a Manning with speed, quicker than any of the other Mannings. And we got a great connection with Mannings, obviously, with Archie and all of his friends here and Ole Miss. Do you think Texas is the best team in the SEC? And is Arch Manning going to live up to this incredible hype? I know he had glimpses last year, but this is his deal now.
Well, we'll get a good early read on whether they're as good as anybody in the country on August 30th. It's interesting. 20 years ago, Texas was entering, I think, the season number 3 at the time. Ohio State was number 2 and USC was number 1. And Texas went to Columbus, and they beat Ohio State in the horseshoe. Vince Young had a big game that night. And they immediately climbed into that 2 spot there. And then, as they like to say in NASCAR, they were running with clean air because all they had to do was win out, which is easier said than done, but they did, to be able to put themselves in the position to play USC. It was different then because USC was the acclaimed number 1.
Right.
I think whoever wins the game on August 30th is going to be the number 1 team in the country, no matter if they start number 1 or number 2. And it may well be the matchup of number 1 versus number 2, whether it's Texas 1 and Ohio State 2 or vice versa. But make no mistake, the team that comes out of that game on the 30th with the win is going to be the number one team in the country at the time anyway. It doesn't mean Texas or Ohio State, whoever loses that game, is going to be out of the playoff mix. Clearly, there's plenty of time,
right.
And they played a quality opponent.
Well, and you got 12 spots now. Come on.
Yeah. So you'll get a good indication of it for sure.
When was that game scheduled? I'd love to know.
Years ago.
How lucky did they get that you got a 1-2, a defending national champion against what many consider the favorite this year? How did they get that? Is that just sheer luck?
I don't think Mac Brown scheduled the game, but it wasn't far after him. It might have been Tom Herman's first year, 17. It might have been then when it got scheduled. It's been on the slate, the home and home, for some time, just as Michigan has been. And, of course, they went to Michigan last year. Ohio State comes to Austin next year, and Michigan returns the game with Texas in 27. So they've got Ohio State and Michigan for 4 straight years.
Wow.
Back and forth. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And some of that also, they did some replacing on the schedule. They were originally supposed to play Georgia in a non-conference game toward the back end of the decade. They don't have to worry about that now since they're both in the same league. But, it's been around for a while, and it's been highly anticipated for sure.
So Georgia is, by most folks, considered the second best team in the league. Alabama, LSU, some combination in there. Is there another team also that you would elevate to the top 4?
You mean other than
Texas, Georgia, Alabama, and LSU?
Yeah, those are, I would say, the top 4 on that. Ole Miss has been the sneaky dark horse for years, so it's kind of like waiting for Godot. We're waiting to see it finally. But the mere fact that they have so many home games this year, and what did Lane Kiffin say yesterday? They played 9 games in the state of Mississippi. So clearly keep an eye. And the other one I think can be a real danger is Florida. They might have the best offensive line in the SEC. They're one of the best. DJ Lagway, I saw him play high school football at Willis. He was tremendous then. He didn't play in the game in Austin against Texas. Barring injury, he'll definitely be playing in the game in Gainesville on October 4th against Texas. So that's the other team I'd keep my eye on for sure.
In the rung below that, 2 schools intrigue me. I'll start with Tennessee. I don't know if Nico Iamaleava, if he had remained in Knoxville, where the Vols would be, because that quarterback question looms. The other is your old rival, Oklahoma. It has not been as good a ride for them transferring into the SEC from the Big 12 than it's been like for you.
Yeah, and they have another rough schedule this year. Some of the of course, we get exposed to it a little more in Austin, but, some of the Oklahoma fan bases are, why can't we get the Texas non-conference schedule? Are we going to get a better non-conference schedule or a better conference schedule than Texas finally? And the answer from Longhorn fans is, well, you lost 49-0 to Texas 3 years ago, and then last year you lost 34-3. Why don't you worry about beating Texas before you worry so much about the teams that Texas is playing, that sort of thing. So that's the kind of back and forth that the fan bases have done. Are they going to be improved? Yes. It's a big year for Brent Venables. And I think Texas A&M could be dangerous as well. Marcel Reed has come a long way, quarterback. They may have one of the best running games in. So I'd say keep an eye on the Aggies also.
Your thoughts on the Vols? Because they play D. They don't have that QB.
Yeah.
Well, unless that kid from UCLA or a freshman is really good.
Yeah, that's what I'm waiting to see, how the quarterback thing pans out from there. But I've seen Heupel at work and know what he's fully capable of accomplishing. That's another one that falls into the dangerous, kind of going a little bit under the radar category.
Yeah. Well, I know it has to be fun to be in this league for you. Not that you didn't appreciate the Big 12, but this league and playing Ohio State or Michigan every year, it has to be a lot of fun for a guy who's done it as many years as you have. It's still pretty darn exciting.
Yeah, in all sports, Wolo. I mean, obviously basketball had taken a little bit of a dip down, and so the coaching change was made, and folks are excited. about what Sean can do now and stepping into the seat there in men's basketball. I got to call a women's basketball co-conference championship and a trip to the Final Four for them. And baseball wins the SEC in regular season in their first year in the league under Jim Schlossnagle. And had they not had their pitching staff completely wrecked and decimated by injuries down the stretch, they might have been able to go deeper than just the regional round. So it's exciting times, I think, across the board. But obviously the flagship is going to be football starting off with, and that's what we're all geared up for.
Can't wait for that game with Ohio State. Try to listen to your call as you do your thing, and the next time you and Linda come through, you better call. That's all I can say.
Yeah, we will. I knew the timing wasn't going to work this time, but you and Gail have been so hospitable for us. How could we refuse such hospitality?
That's true. The price is right. I know that. All right, my friend, take care. We will talk during the season. I am certain of that. Thank you much. We appreciate your time today.
Great to visit with you as always, Wolo. Thanks.
That is Craig Way, the longtime voice of the Texas Longhorns. We got to take a break. When we come back, and I should thank Landers Ford in Collierville, Sissy's Log Cabin, Jason's Deli, First National Bank and Trust, Jim's Place in Collierville, East Memphis Ace Hardware, Gould's Salon and Spa, Ronnie Grisani's in the Regalia Center, All-Star Chevrolet and Olive Branch, Jimmy McElroy and Associates, and Brett Norsworthy for engineering this thing. We thank them all down in Atlanta. We're back. We talk with we'll talk some Tiger news. We already mentioned the John Rothstein story. There's some other stuff coming up. And Scotty Scheffler said something very interesting today that makes me wonder about how many majors he will truly win. I will share that with you in a moment on Wolo and Friends.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Up your life with Laz.
Surprise the family with a new club car and experience the best golf cart in the industry. A new golf cart is perfect for cruising the neighborhood, enjoying yourself at the lake, turning heads on the course, and just having something reliable to use around the yard. Lads has you covered with new and used golf cars. The new Club Car Onward, available in electric or gas and a variety of colors and features. Lads goes beyond the green. Whitten I-40 or online at lads.net.
Hi, I'm Glenda Hastings, owner of Napa Cafe, and I want to thank you for making us part of your dining experiences. If you are a first-time guest or have dined with us countless times, I want to thank you for making us part of your lives. Whether you're celebrating with the crowd or planning a cozy date night on the town, Napa Cafe can provide you an extraordinary evening. We have 5 dining rooms, including our private wine cellar, our Jan's room for 2 guests, and the Eleanor room for parties up to 60. Sit back, relax, and celebrate. Leave the cooking to us. Come see me at Napa Cafe, 5101 Sanderlin Avenue. We're open Wednesday through Saturday for dinner starting at 5 o'clock. We also offer curbside pickup from our full menu. For details on our stay-in, dine-out menu or reservations, visit our website at napacafe.com. Come join us. We can't wait to serve you.
Congratulations to Napa Cafe, celebrating 27 years of great food and service for you. Napa Cafe. NST's been taking down insurance giants for over 35 years. Big firm power with hometown heart? Yeah, they don't play. It's that combination that has helped them win billions for their clients. NST is the way to go. Call 683-7000. 1 out of 4 parents can't afford to buy school supplies for their children to go back to school. Teachers have to pay out of pocket for needed materials for their classrooms. Please help us and U-Haul help our children by dropping off essential school supplies for this school year. Meet us Friday, July 25th at Kroger at 3444 Plaza Avenue from 6 to 10 a.m. At Kroger at 3685 Houston Levy from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And at Kroger at 676 Germantown Parkway from 3 to 6 p.m. Help us stuff the bus.
Wally Hatchet serves breakfast all day and Southern comfort food for lunch. Hatchet fans love our huge omelets, breakfast Sammys, scrambles, and chicken and waffles. For lunch, check out the Mississippi pot roast, chicken fried steak, grilled meatloaf, or one of our best-selling burgers, lipstick on a cow. Pickup, delivery, and catering are also available. Visit WallyHatchets.com to order online. Wally Hatchets is located at 6439 Summer Avenue and open from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Wally Hatchets. Count your blessings, not your calories.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshyn.
Scotty Scheffler had a press conference in Ireland, Royal Portrush, and it was eye-opening, I thought, yesterday, to be totally honest with you. I don't know what prompted exactly what the question was, but the answer was winning golf tournaments is there is a sense of accomplishment from it because you work so hard to get to there. And he said, I enjoy the process of the work. He says, but winning? Winning is good for about 2 minutes. And he gave the example. And it wasn't the majors, because he's won a major this year. But he also lives in Dallas, grew up in Dallas. And the Byron Nelson is his hometown tournament. So as a kid, he dreamed, I'm sure there was winning Augusta, and he's done that twice. I'm sure it was winning majors, but the number one dream was to win the Byron Nelson because that was the one he attended every year as a kid. And he won it this year. And he said, man, it felt good for 2 minutes. And then it was like, okay, where are we going for dinner? And then, okay, I got to pack up and I got to go somewhere else the next week. And this was the key phrase that he gave, is that winning golf tournaments is really not the equivalent of a totally fulfilled life. That there's just a lot more to real life than winning golf tournaments. And I will say this, I understand his perspective, but he made $63 million last year. He never is going to need money. He's still going to win enough. I don't think he's finished out of the top 10 this year. Money is never going to be an issue for him, right? Winning majors could be. He's won 3. He's 29. He's won 2 different ones. He's won Masters at Augusta, and that may be his number one. He's won a PGA. That is no one's top major, by the way. You're either going to say Masters, U.S. Open, or for the Europeans, the Open, which is about to take place. So here's my point. We saw Rory McIlroy finally get the career Grand Slam. Rory McIlroy has not been the same guy ever since. Not personally, not on the golf course, although he did play pretty well to finish second in the Scottish Open last week. And there's never been a guy that won the Masters and the Scottish Open in the same year. So he was kind of motivated that way, just didn't get it done. Chris Gotterup, congratulations to you. Now that changed his life because he gets to play in the Open Championship and at Augusta next year because that's his first tour win. But there clearly was a loss of motivation, a loss of hunger for Rory. Rory does not need money. Rory is worth hundreds of millions of dollars already. Just built a brand new home in London. He's set. And now he's got this career legacy, and he's never getting to the 15 Tiger has or the 18 that Jack has. He's not going to ever get that. He's too old for that already. Maybe Scotty could, but based on what he's saying, he's not hungry either. Now, I'm sure he would like to get a career Grand Slam, and that would be pretty cool to get the third leg right here, right now at the Open Championship in Royal Portrush. And he finished 8th this week on a links course, so it's possible that he could do that. But based on what he said, I don't think either of those guys have a chance of catching Tiger or Jack. And here's most amazing thing about all that is that they did that they were so hungry. Jack Nicklaus was way past everybody, still hungry at age 46 to win his 18th. And that goes with 19 runners up. Okay? 18 majors, and he started single, and then he had a wife, and then he had a family, and the hunger continued. With Tiger, he never stopped wanting to win majors. That competitive spirit was fulfilling enough for him that Scotty says is not for him. Because he got to the 15, and he would have beaten Jack, I think, had he not been injured. And then there was also the scandals and going to a sex clinic in Hattiesburg. All that stuff weighed on him. Public shame, I'm certain, had an effect on some of that too mentally. But, man, the desire, it was there. Based on what I've seen from Rory and listened yesterday, which was very interesting to me, by Scotty, this was an open admission of his own accord, makes me think there's no way that he will ever catch Tiger or Jack. He's going to be a dominating golfer, but it's just not fulfilling enough. And I understand that perspective, and I'm not disrespecting him. I'm just saying, based on what I'm hearing, you can understand. And in Jack's day, the money wasn't quite what it is now. Tiger made this money. He brought that level up. But these guys, you make $63 million in a year, like Scotty did last year. That doesn't include the endorsements. I mean, come on. You are set for life. The hunger is going to go away. We mentioned earlier the Tiger basketball team may be losing Nolan Smith. We're going to be searching, if you would, for any updates on that. John Rothstein broke the story today that it's likely that Nolan Smith, the Tigers' number 2 assistant, would replace Penny Collins, who'd been the head coach at Tennessee State. He left to become the second assistant for Tuomas Isolo and the Grizzlies. There is other news. Penny hired, for the first time, a woman to be his director of ops. She's been with Memphis before as a compliance director. Kristen Kelly is her name. I think she's a Carbondale native. She was at SIU, I believe, last year. She's coming back. She's going to be the director of ops, replacing Jordan Verhulst, who did an incredibly good job. He will be missed. And I urge you to go read the story that Parth has written at the Daily Memphian. It is on Sincere Parker, who is sincerely, and I'm sure I will use that a whole bunch this year, a scorer. He's a really good player, but he's had a past that is quite interesting. This will be basically his fourth school. He went to junior college because he didn't have the grades. Part of that was, I think he had some COVID. A COVID year that came into play with school, and he moved to an academy, and anyway, didn't have the grades to go to college right off the bat. Then he went to St. Louis out of Moberly, and, the coach left. He got fired, and then once he got fired, he decided to go to McNeese, and we all know how good Will Wade is. Will Wade left to go to NC State, so he, again, could move and wanted to move. So this will be his fourth school. Will Wade could have taken him, but he didn't. So that's worrisome. But everybody says this guy has the potential to be a terrific scorer. So I think Memphis is going to have options, and there's a nice story by Munzie. We'll talk to him on Friday about the height that Memphis has this year with adding the new 7-footer from, I think it's the Sudan. And we'll get into that, but it's going to be a different year. But Partha Paje has written a really good story on Sincere Parker. I would go and take a look at that. Now, we all know Memphis would love to get into a Power 4 conference. Big 12 or the ACC, the most likely of the candidates. But in all honesty, their greatest chance of making a playoff is staying here. I know people don't want to hear that, and I know the vast majority, 95%, can't stand this league. In particular, basketball. Football's not quite as bad, but if you want to make the playoff, who's in your way at this moment? It may be different next year with the Pac-12. Some other teams come into play. But honestly, Tulane, Memphis, and Boise, they're the three most mentioned candidates. Maybe UNLV is going to get knocked in there now that they have a legitimate coach in Dan Mullen, and they seem to be putting money toward coaching and trying also to get into a Power Four. So let's just add UNLV. So you got two from the Mountain West, and you got two from the American. Those are the two teams, really, 4 teams, vying for a playoff spot this year. I decided Memphis is going to play Tulane, so that will be a decider, and they could play twice in the championship game. I want to take a look at the two schedules. Boise, they have a good schedule. They start the season at a team Memphis will play at home and beat in well, actually it was in Orlando last year, if you recall, because of the hurricane. They'll start in Tampa against USF. They play Eastern Michigan. They play App State. Then they go to South Bend. They play Notre Dame. If they were to beat Notre Dame, they got a big edge. Then they play New Mexico, UNLV, at Nevada, Fresno, at San Diego State, Colorado State, and at Utah State, a team Memphis is going to play in basketball. The Tigers, of course, Chattanooga, at Georgia State, at Troy. Whew, those are weird games to be playing on the road, folks. They're tough at home, let alone on the road. Then the big one. If they beat Arkansas and Boise loses to Notre Dame, you got a Power 4 win in your favor. And then you're at FAU, Tulsa at home. We haven't played Tulsa in a couple of years in football. At UAB, I have no idea where they're at right now, but you know their coach is fighting for his life, Trent Dilfer. USF at Rice, Tulane here. Got them here after the Tigers did the job on them last year. At ECU, which is never an easy place to play. And if they're winning at that time, that's the second to last game of the year, that'll be tough. If they are in the playoff picture, they'll have 50,000 at that remodeled stadium. It's a nice stadium. And then you play Navy at home on Thanksgiving. You win out there and you beat Arkansas, they lose to Notre Dame, you've got the shot to make the playoff. That is for sure. We got to take a break. When we come back, we're going to talk All-Star Game. Tonight, the Home Run Derby from last night. We go to Chicago. My friend George Offman is standing by. He's brought to you in part by Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. If you're ready to build that dream home, Ken's on his 3rd generation. His dad, now Ken, William, the son, just came into the business a few years ago, and here's their common denominator. They see little details in the big picture all at once, and the job is never totally completed. They're with you all of the way. They truly are. And if you're looking for a remodel, because you want the modern amenities, but you don't want to leave your lot. You love your location. You want the California closet. You want the movie room. They've got it. They know how to utilize everything. I call it renovation with innovation. They're the specialists. They are Ken Garland, Custom Home Builders. We're back in a minute. George Hoffman from Chicago is next.
We are real sports talk. Sports 56 WHBQ. Available on your radio dial at 560 AM and 98.5 FM, as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, stay tuned in to real sports talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com. So whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Do you have over $10,000 in credit card debt? If you're feeling the financial impact with unprecedented economic challenges, DebtBlue is here for you. With DebtBlue's Success Guarantee, you pay nothing unless your debt is reduced or completely resolved.
I'm just living sky high right now. I'm very thankful for it, and the team at DebtBlue are phenomenal. They're able to work with you. They're great.
Call for your free debt resolution information now. 800-200-6895. 800-200-6895.
Awards, styling, driving dynamics, and innovative technology is what you'll find in your new Mitsubishi from Gossett Mitsubishi on the Pike. Looking for a deal on your next ride? We Gossett. 2024 Mitsubishi Mirage. Car and driver's best with 39 combined MPG. 15,675. 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander Sport. 28,480 or $399 per month. And 2025 Mitsubishi Outlander PHEV plug-in hybrid with combined range of 420 miles. Better warranty, more electric range on full charge than a Mazda CX-90 or Toyota RAV4. PHEV, now $39,115 or $349 a month. Plus, get peace of mind with a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. That's Gossett Mitsubishi. 1870 Covington Pike, online, MemphisMitsubishi.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
SE0066180, MSRP 28980, PHEV, SE01730, MSRP 42615, Mirage, RH 037309, includes all rebates and incentives. PF 895 excludes tax title and license. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through end of the month with approved credit. Dealer stock only.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
The show is called Wolo and Friends, and one of my oldest friends, certainly the longest running on this show, is a guy that I go back to the 1960s with in high school. That would be George Offman, broadcaster and author from Chicago, who joins us now. Good morning. What did you think of the Home Run Derby last night?
Did you say the 1960s or the 1860s?
Well, you may be around in the 1860s. I started with you in the 1960s.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me. Yeah, it was okay. I think the most interesting part is how this is amazing. How Cal Raleigh, who won, advanced over Brent Rooker. What was it? 470.61 feet to 470.53 feet.
Bingo! The kid from Memphis got screwed. Come on.
I mean, seriously? How'd they figure that out?
I don't know. I think they wanted Cal Raleigh because he's one of the great stories of baseball this year.
Well, he certainly is. I mean, right now, I think he's the MVP of the American League by virtue. Clearly, he's going to hit over 50 homers, so will Judge, but he's a catcher.
Yeah.
I mean, he's just having a storybook season. I'm like, gosh, he was hitting homers like somebody would hit singles. It was really something. So, I mean, it remains a somewhat, to me, entertaining event. It gets a little tedious after a while.
Yeah, I think it's too long. I think they should cut that thing almost in half. Seriously.
Well, but
not the participants, but the amount of time that first round where you get 3 and then you get 3 or 4 outs based on your on your distance. They need to cut that in half. That's too much.
But then you're going to have to come up with some other event because you're selling tickets to people who are there to spend the 2.5 hours. Yeah, it's definitely way too long. But while Raleigh is the story of last night, I think tonight there are 2, maybe 3 really interesting stories. One of them is a kid who doesn't belong in the All-Star game, and one who was an amazing addition to the All-Star game and voted in. That would be Javi Baez.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought him up because I think of that great year with the Cubs and that magical run and Baez being such a big part of it. And then, you could complain about that trade because Javi is still in the game and he's an outfielder now with Detroit. But, the Cubs got Pete Crow Armstrong out of that, didn't they?
That's right. They're both starting center fielders in the All-Star game traded for one another. The difference is one has a career ahead of him, and I don't know how long Javi Baez is going to be this kind of guy, but imagine, all the injuries, the money the Tigers spent, he was doing nothing, resurrected his career as they had to put him in center field because Parker Meadows is injured, and he's just having one of those seasons. As for the kid from Milwaukee, and certainly I'm not going to blame him for the selection, but he has no business being in the All-Star game. I'm sorry. You throw 5 games and you're in the All-Star game because why? They think they're going to get a ratings tick from this?
Yes.
Seriously? Oh, come on. Give me a break. Really? Who's watching to see the kid pitch? The people in Milwaukee? That'll give you a ratings tick. The bottom line is, I could understand Skeens last year pitched 11 games. Okay, I got it. But to pitch 5 games, what do you tell other pitchers, like a couple of guys from the Phillies who belong on the All-Star team?
So those guys, you can't. You're not even naming them. Okay, that's the thing. The kid from Milwaukee, Mizorowski, people know about the guy already. 6'7". He threw his first pitch was over 100 miles an hour. If you're promoting your sport, remember who, what, when, where, and why. Who's the first of journalism? This is a guy you can promote the game with.
He's thrown 5 games. It doesn't mean that
Look
in the
what
next
he's
5
done
games,
in those 5 games, though.
He got battered in one of them, okay? That's 1 out of 5. Who says he comes back in the next 5 or 6 games and doesn't get battered again? Paul Skeens is still having a really good year this year, despite the fact that his record isn't good because the Pirates can't hit. But to bank an All-Star game at a guy who's only thrown 5 games, it's not like he's thrown no hitters here. Come on, give me a break. No, I think this is a mistake by baseball, and I'm totally against it. Totally against it.
I
understand why they're doing it, but I'm totally against it.
I thought you were going to go Suzuki on me here with the RBI.
Suzuki. Listen, when the voting began, okay, he was leading the majors in runs batted in. The only other player who led the majors in runs batted in who didn't make the All-Star team was Hank Greenberg 90 years ago. Otherwise, every guy who led was on the team. I understand that, too, because it's a DH, and you got Kyle Schwarber, and you got a couple other people. Okay, I get that part. Listen, the All-Star game isn't about who makes it. It's about who doesn't make it. It's always been about the snubs. You know that, and I know that. So, is he a snub? There's a lot of guys who are snubbed. The guy is having a spectacular year, but, I'm sure that he enjoys the time off.
So you mentioned, so we had Raleigh, we had Baez, and we have Mizorowski. Is there another storyline? Did we miss one in there that you had? Clayton Kershaw? How do you feel about Kershaw being in?
Well, that's a commissioner's pick. I get that. The commissioner gets to have one of those picks. And the guy is a Hall of Fame pitcher, just got his 3,000th strikeout. So I can understand that pick. There's always going to be that. It's usually going to be a longtime veteran who gets picked, so I have no issue with that. The other problem, of course, is that there are a lot of pitchers who are picked who won't pitch, like Matthew Boyd is another great story. If you look at a guy, he hasn't thrown this many innings since 2019. And he's been the Cubs' most consistent pitcher this year. He's been terrific. That's another story, but he can't pitch. I understand why. They're limiting his pitches and innings thrown. But there's a lot of pitchers who drop out. So there's a lot of replacements for that. That's the nature of baseball.
Chris Sale's not pitching, right?
Well, he's still injured.
Yeah.
He's still got the fractured ribs. And that's, but by the way, for all the people who thought that they might trade him because of the season they're having, he's not on the market. That's one ace who's not going to be traded.
All right, National League is favored -115, so it's not that big. How do you think it breaks down tonight?
I've never been one to look at the game from that standpoint. Honestly, it's you flip a coin. I think the history of the game, we've seen one league win like a whole bunch in a row, then the other league wins a whole bunch in a row. I hope that the game is entertaining, but by entertaining, I'm not talking about the outside entertainment. I'm talking about the game entertainment itself. All-Star games have changed a lot.
Oh, yeah.
They've become entertainment vehicles that don't really have anything to do with the game themselves. So I hope it's a good game. I hope that there's a player that no one's thinking about that winds up, winning the game. But, I don't have any skin in the All-Star game. It's not like when we were growing up. It's a different game now.
Agreed. It's an exhibition game, which is why I don't mind Mizorowski being in there. Favorite All-Star memory? I remember when there were 2 games, and they used to have crowds so big they would let you stand on the warning track and have a rope that went all the way around the field. You got a favorite All-Star memory?
Probably the one that was the 50th anniversary, which was at Comiskey Park, when Fred Lynn hit a grand slam. I believe that was the first and only grand slam in All-Star history. I'm trying to remember the name. Was it the lefty for the Giants who threw was that Montefusco? I forgot.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I was there covering the game, and, it was pretty exciting because the first All-Star game was at Comiskey Park in 1933, and then this was in 1983. So that one I remember the most. The Cubs had the All-Star game there in it's either 90 or 91, and it was in the afternoon. They had the home run derby, and Ryan Sandberg won. I think they're getting the All-Star game in a couple of years from now. So, but that memory of the 50th All-Star game is something because, it's part of the history, the fabric of the game.
All right, National League Central, last thing as we run out of time here. Cubs with a 1-game lead. Milwaukee's won 7 in a row. Cubs are playing great baseball, 18 games over 500. The Cardinals still in this thing. How do you see the National League Central winding down?
I see the Cubs having to make some significant trades, and it just depends on the ammunition that they're going to have. They definitely need another starting pitcher, with Tyon out and probably not coming back till September. They could use another closer. I mean, they have a closer, but they really don't have a closer. And they may need some help at third base because Matt Shaw, the kid, is a rookie, terrific defensively, just can't hit. The problem with all of this is you're going to have competition, and it depends on what you have in your minor league system to make these trades. The Brewers have been playing terrific baseball. The Mizorowski kid is good. Woodruff came back, pitched a great game the other day. I don't really take stock in the Cardinals or the Reds in the division now. But it's going to be a slog. And when the Cubs come back, guess who they're playing at Wrigley Field on Friday? The Red Sox, who've won 10 in a row.
I know. The Cubs have had the toughest schedule, I think, in all of baseball, honestly. And they're still 18 games over 500.
Well, but, the National League is a really strong league. There's a lot. First of all, there's very few pushovers. Now, as we're getting closer and closer to the trading deadline, you see some of the teams that are going to dismantle. But, there's no weak sister here. I mean, they went into Minnesota, couldn't score any runs for the first 2 games. Then they go to New York.
Yeah.
They get beat 11-0, and 2 lefties, Imanaga and Boyd, they limit the Yankees to 1 run in 15 innings.
I know.
So pitching wins, and the Cubs need pitching.
All right, there we go. That's George Hoffman. We have to do this more often. My friend, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
That's our guy in Chi-Town. That is George Othman. He's brought to you by Memphis Public Links. Chicago's a great city, and they have several golf courses around their whole metropolitan area. I don't think they can touch Memphis. Seriously. At Chicago, they still use mats on some of their tee boxes. Mats! You get at Memphis Public Links, the redo of Audubon, people raving. Look what they did just a few years ago. All this under Mickey Barker, the director of golf, who will be on with us tomorrow. Galloway is just a great public golf course. I'd put it up against any public golf course in any city in this country. Then there's the redo at Overton. They redid the green complexes at Fox Meadows. That used to be a country club. What a great place it is. And, of course, Pine Hill, that unreal clubhouse and that redo, that's a hard golf course on the back 9. It's amazing. This city knew golf is a great amenity, and they have lived up to the billing. Go to memphispubliclinks.com to make your tee times or just to check out the news. They got championships at every golf course plus the city championship. Memphis Golf, it's way above every other city. I'm telling you, go play Memphis Public Links. That'll do it. Wednesdays are always big. Dennis Philippi. We make golf picks and the business of sports with Joe Dink. That's all tomorrow. Johnny Radio's next. Have a great day, everyone.